name is Amber Evie, and I'm a grant specialist for Maddie's Fund. We are excited to be hosting our first huddle for the We Foster Challenge. So as you know, starting on May 1st, we are encouraging shelter and rescue organizations to create or expand community-based foster programs that will get your neighbors involved and proudly saying, hey, we foster, so can you. We're proud to say that we have 350 plus organizations. It's actually 353. I did the final numbers this morning, signed up to participate, and we have 16 national organizations as partners. We're giving away $210,000 in grants to participants who complete the challenge, and we can't wait to see what you do. So today, we're going to talk for 40 minutes, followed by live Q&A. I'm also going to turn it over to Jessica here in just a little bit from Adoptimize, but Jessica, I have a few more housekeeping things real quick. So I will be monitoring 2 of the huddles, and then the other huddles will be monitored by Gina Knapp from Michelson Found Animals. Gina, I saw you. Hi. Do you want to unmute and say hi to everyone?
Hello, everybody. I'm so excited. I think this is like an epic, like the most people ever that have applied. Is that right, Amber?
Yeah, this is the highest amount of participants we've had, so we're really excited.
Yay, we love giving money away. Thanks for joining us.
Cool. Thanks, Gina. I'm excited to see you host next week. And then Jessica from Adoptimize. Hey, Jessica. I understand you wanted to share some cool information with us.
I would love to. Hey, everyone. This is Jessica Schlater, and I'm the CEO of Adoptimize. And I wanted to share with you something really fun we're going to be doing for the We Foster Challenge in May. So Adoptimize really wants to help you recognize and celebrate your top fosters. So in May, we're going to make and ship custom pet portraits for 3 of your fosters for free. And you can see what these mugs look like and sign up at the link I'm going to drop in the chat. It is designed to be super simple because we know that all y'all are dealing with kitten season and all the other chaos. So all you need to do is pick 3 fosters, and then we'll give you an email template and a promo code, and you send it out. So it's easy. All right, I'll drop the link in the chat. Thanks.
That's awesome. And Jessica, if anyone has any questions, do you mind putting your email in the chat too so they can follow up with you?
Yep.
That is super fun. What a great way to promote our fosters. So thanks, Jessica. And I am really excited. So today we're talking about foster program processes are equitable and inclusive of the entire community. And we are joined by 2 fabulous guests today. The first is Alysia Martinez, and Alysia is from Pensacola Humane Society. Alysia leads the foster program efforts with Pensacola Humane Society. She's been in the shelter industry for about 10 years, and the foster program is where her heart is. She's honored and very thankful to be speaking amongst so many great people. And Alysia, we're super honored and thankful that you're here. Our other guest today is Jackie Nobile, who is from San Diego Humane Society. Jackie leads the efforts for staff management, volunteer engagement, case record review, daily rounds, protocol review and development, budget oversight, administrative and marketing tasks specific to the programs, and information sharing with other groups. Whew. And in her spare time, I'm glad she has some after all that, Jackie volunteers with Orphan Kitten Club's Full Circle program. So she's a member of the TRAP team and wants to help do her part to end the cycle of kittens being born outside. So Jackie and Alysia, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. If you want to go ahead and unmute, we'd love to hear what you want to talk about today about inclusive and equitable processes.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Good morning, everyone. So when Maddie's reached out to us, they asked us about 8 different areas in regards to this topic, and we are going to share information about each of these areas and about each of our organizations, because we're on opposite coasts, but we're experiencing very similar things. The first question that Maddie's asked us is, are our foster staff and volunteers representative of our community? So for San Diego Humane Society, We do have multiple buildings and locations around the county. So we touch a lot of different areas of the county. So we capture a lot of different areas of the community through our programs. We do know that we are missing an area in the very south, which is covered by another shelter. So we are working on growing our foster population in that area. We know that we have a lot of Spanish speakers in San Diego, so we do have multiple Spanish speakers on the team as well. I'll hand over to Allie to share hers about that.
Hey, so we're a fairly small organization, but we are in an area that's heavily populated, and there's a variety of people there. We do our best to reach out to all areas. We also have a help team in a different building that's a little bit across town, so we are able to keep an eye on what area codes need help. So we do our best to reach out to everybody that needs it.
The next question that we were asked is our application process for foster volunteers simple and free from barriers? So for the San Diego Humane Society foster application, we are utilizing a system called Volunteer Impact or Better Impact. If you are using that database for your shelter volunteers, it can be also used for your fosters as well. And through that platform, the fosters are able to sign up and sign our foster agreement. And from there, they are pushed through kind of an automated training system. So it is very low barrier in terms of you don't need to be on site. You can do everything from home. You can work through the materials at your own pace, and you can kind of choose the path you want to go in terms of the animals you want to foster. There's a dog track, a cat track, kitten, puppy, and small pet track. So we try to capture everyone's interests and make sure that they are able to do it in an automated way. They do a scavenger hunt through some manuals, and then they do an online quiz. And at that point, they're qualified to foster. And the first time we meet them is usually when we're handing off their assignment to them.
And ours is fairly similar. We don't use greater impact, but we actually are looking at that. But we use Shelter Love, and if you just go to our website, you fill out a foster application. It's pretty short and sweet. We just ask, your name, address, phone number, a good email, couple questions if you're able to transport your animal to events and to vet appointments and things like that. Who's all in the home, just so we know if there's going to be children or other animals. Once they submit their application, we email them back with our orientation as well as a copy of all of our handbooks, so they can kind of look at it ahead of time and know what they're going to get into. And then they get a link to our Trello board, and our Trello board has every animal that is in need of foster and a little bit of information about every animal. So you can see if they have medical needs, how old they are, how big they are, whatever it may be. And right from there, they can schedule a pickup with that animal. And same thing as Jackie said, we pretty much meet them the day they're coming to pick up an animal.
I would be happy to share my screen if anybody wants to see Volunteer Impact on the back end. As at this time, I'll show you what I see and what the fosters see, so you can check that out.
Awesome. Thanks, Jackie. Everyone in the chat does want to see your foster handbook, so that's great. Or I'm sorry, wants to see the software. And I did see there was a question about what is Trello? What's a Trello board? So if you don't mind just telling us a brief sentence or two about that software.
Yeah, I can share my screen and just look so you guys can see what my Trello looks like as soon as Jackie's done.
Awesome. Thanks, Allie.
So this is our Volunteer Impact database for fosters. So this is what the foster sees at their end once they've signed in. So it shows you your volunteer hours, and it has a home page. And if we go to my profile and click training, this is where all the magic happens. I am a volunteer for many areas, so I do have to click foster care. And now I am in our training portal. So Here we have all of our different trainings that we have available. Fosters can pick and choose, like I said, what they want to do. They are required to take this initial e-learning here. So all they have to do is click, if they hadn't taken it, they would click take. Since I've taken it, we're here on this screen. So they will go to our foster manual. They will click it and read through everything that we have in there. And then they will answer these questions here and click submit. And if they get them correct, then they're qualified and they are able to then decide if they want to do cats, dogs, small animals. So all of that through this database is automated, and we're really able to push them through the system and get their training done and get them an animal as quickly as possible. For bottle baby animals, we do offer additional hands-on training at time of pickup because we know that those assignments are a little more intricate. So I will stop sharing and let Allie share hers.
Awesome. And Allie, while you're pulling that up, we did get requests in the chat for both of you to share your foster handbooks. So if you wouldn't mind if you're able to share those on the Maddie's Pet Forum. After this, the good thing about Maddie's Pet Forum is it is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So you can do it at a time that's convenient for you. But Allie, let's see this Trello board.
Yeah, so Trello, I wish I learned about it a long time ago. Honestly, it's amazing. And you can create boards for just about anything. So I have personal boards where I keep my tasks that I need to do. We have one for all the employees. I have one for our foster mentors. And then we have our foster plea board. And this is the one that all of our fosters get a link to. So on this board, we'll have all information regarding fostering, the different programs we offer, what the things within each card means, and then emergency information as well. They get emergency information everywhere just so they never lose it. We have an events area so they can see what upcoming events we're having. And then if they're interested in dogs, these are all of our dogs and puppies in need of foster homes. So say you're interested in Sarah, you click on her to read a little bit more about her. You can see what program she's available for. So if you're not looking to do a long-term foster program, you can click on the ones who are only available for slumber parties or things like that. And we'll have more information on Sarah. She's heartworm positive, so it gives information about heartworms and what you should expect with a heartworm positive dog. Information about her, she's spayed, how much she weighs, how she does on a leash, how she does with other dogs, cats, and kids. Is she available for adoption? And then more photos, and people can comment, or they can go ahead and if they're interested in fostering her, they just click this link and it brings them right to our appointment calendar, which gives them an option of days and times, and they can pick whatever works best for them to come and pick her up or meet with her and see if they're interested in taking her home from there. But yeah.
That is super cool and so complete, right? Like there's so many great things that you're covering here. So both Allie and Jackie, I really love the idea of how inclusive this is. Like, let's say I'm somebody who works nights but I have, my time off during the day and I'd really like to foster for you. So I can check this out at 3:00 in the morning and it's not going to be invasive for you or your team. What if I'm a person who struggles with using technology and I don't have reliable internet access at my home? Is there a way that I could still, could I come into your organizations to use this? Do you have a way to help those folks that might not have great internet access or great technology skills?
So you can always come into our shelter anytime. If people are coming in and they see an animal that's not available for adoption and they're interested in that animal, we right away will recommend fostering to at least kind of maybe get us a foster and it gets the animal out type of thing. They can always use our iPads at the shelter to log in and we can assist them. Trello is fairly easy and it's really user friendly. I haven't had too many people have issues with it, but there's always, somebody who may need help and we always offer that assistance in-house.
And similarly, we do as well. We, in our volunteer center, have multiple computer stations. So if someone does need to come in and use one of those stations, they can do that. And typically, if they're struggling to work the database or anything like that, we can set them up with a member of our volunteer engagement team to kind of talk them through the process and get them going. And whenever possible, we try and tie up sending them home with an animal since they're on site already. So we try and make sure it all happens at the same time.
That's great. Thank you. I love how it's accessible for people who want to use the technology and people who might need a little bit of assistance with it. And we did have some discussion too on the thread about Ben says he loves Trello, but his team thinks it's confusing. My supervisor Kelly is on this call. She might have a similar statement about me. But Allie, it seems like you think it sounds like you find it really user friendly.
I do love it. If I'm on my phone, I do find that the app works way better than if you use a browser. It's definitely a lot easier to navigate that way. But I don't know, I just find it really easy. And I'm not very tech savvy myself, but I like it. Most of our staff likes it. A lot of the fosters, it's really easy for them to just have all the resources right there on the computer or on their phone. So
That's great. And it looks like you actually did a video of walking through your Trello for us earlier that Kelly Dewar from our team shared. So I'm going to just pop this again into the chat lower so folks can see it, because I think that might be a good way to go over it in more detail. Awesome. Okay, and then actually, let me just get a few more of these questions, and then we'll get back to your presentation, because there's some really, really good questions coming in here. Who fills out the information on Trello, or Jackie, on your volunteer information? Is it volunteers? Is it the foster staff? Who's updating those boards?
For the Trello, I do have a foster assistant, and she is on it. As soon as we post at the end of the day, we post on our Facebook pages and on our employee Trello who got adopted and who was returned, or, kind of keep an inventory. And she, as soon as we post that, she jumps on it and she edits and puts the new animals on there, takes the ones who have been adopted off, changes any information that needs to be changed. And then animals that are in foster care, those fosters, it's a public page, so anybody can jump on there and look at it. But the fosters can edit information as well as they notice changes with their animal, or they can upload their own photos to it. So they pretty much handle it most of the time. I wish I could clone her for myself.
Yeah. To have like 4 of her, right?
Yeah.
And Jackie, who's updating your information? Is that your foster team? Is it volunteers?
So we are currently using a WordPress blog to post our assignments. We've been using that for about 10 years. It's an older site, and we're having our foster staff post and the high need animals. We're also doing, we have a Google expression of interest form where the fosters can share if they're interested in a cat, dog, kitten, puppy, and we can also match them with our inventory. We're finding it challenging to do all of the matchmaking and all of the postings. So we're currently working to integrate our shelter software, which is Shelter Buddy, to our website to pull, similar to an adoptable animal page. We would like it to pull all of our foster candidates so that they are automatically updated. So we're in the early stages of doing that, and we're really hopeful that we'll be able to get that on our website. So not only our fosters can see what we have available to foster, but also other member of the public. So we're in the early stages of that. There obviously are some integration things we have to do, but we're hoping that that will take a lot of work off of our foster team's plate and give our fosters a view of everything we have rather than us having to manually update it.
Thank you. And then just one other question for both of you, and then we'll move on. Do either of your organizations require home visits for your foster parents?
We do not.
Okay. And do you require proof of renters or home insurance?
We do not.
And
we have that conversation. If they rent, we're just like, please take the proper steps that you need to in order to not get in trouble, or, things like that. We feel like people are adults and should be able to manage that on their own.
And did either of you have those like stipulations in place when you started, and it's changed since you've been there? Because I know you've both been with your
She
organizations.
came on.
I've only been with this current
Right.
organization
So
for
I
about
think
2
it had to
years.
be Noah.
Sorry, Allie.
And she told me, yes, I could start.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So we basically did two
Somebody
things.
is unmuted. Thank you. Okay, sorry, Allie. You said you had just been with this organization for a little while?
For about 2 years, and
2 years, okay.
that's never been in place as long as I've been there. So.
And Jackie?
For San Diego Humane Society, we did formally offer or require home checks. So prior to 2014, we were doing home checks. We were sending one of our officers out to look at properties. They were looking at anything from what was around the house to the height of the fence, all of those types of things. And when we moved to an open adoptions philosophy, we also changed that policy, and we moved to an open fostering policy as well. So we dropped the home checks, and we were able to grow our foster program pretty significantly because that was obviously a time stretch on us doing that, and we were able to grow really, really quickly after we no longer required that.
And frees up the officer's time to do things too, definitely. It's a very specific position to be sending out to do something like that. This is part of the flow of this too. Do either of you require vet checks or vet references for your foster parents? Guess the answer was no too. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you. And I know for folks who are on the call watching, there are some states and areas that do require home checks or do require renter's insurance or require your volunteers to take a certification. So definitely check out Maddie's Pet Forum to see how other groups are managing that, because I know in some places you can't get away from it. So depending on where you are in the country. Oh, thank you, Allison. All right. And so Jackie and Allie, thanks so much for answering all those great questions that come in. What else were you going to tell us about?
One of the other things we were asked is if we offer our material in multiple languages. And for San Diego Humane Society, we don't currently. Our manuals are pretty new. We created them in the past couple of years. So we've actually, we're joining the grant party. We've applied for the grant, and this is one of our areas of improvement that we are looking to do throughout the grant period. So our goal is to translate most of our core materials into Spanish. And we also are we're looking at doing other languages upon request. So I can do a quick screen share again to show you what we're looking at doing. And we're hopeful that this works. So we currently have a platform that we use on our public webpage, as well as we have a private login for staff called MindTouch. And in MindTouch, if you upload any text, you have the integrated Google Translate feature over here in the corner. So as long as the document is uploaded in a non-PDF format, we are able to essentially do a Google Translate on that document into any language upon request now. So if we had a foster that needed something in various different languages, we would be able to do that. And if we just click, I'll do the Afrikaans, we can see that the document auto changes. Obviously with Google Translate, there's some nuances there, so it won't be 100% perfect, but it will at least be a step towards getting them that document, and then we would be able to send that off to them. So one of our goals is to do Spanish and then have other languages available upon request through this MindTouch Google Translate integration.
And we do not. When Jackie showed me that on their site, I thought that was so amazing. And as a member of a bilingual, family, I definitely want to look into that and doing that. And I haven't come across the need for it so far, but I'd rather be prepared for it when it happens. So.
The next question we were asked is if we had finder to foster programs available for found pets and underage animals in our community. I'll let Allie take the lead on this one because we have tried it and we've stopped it and we're going to try it again. So I think Allie had some stuff to share on this.
Yeah, so we do have a resource center where our help team lives, and that is a group of volunteers and staff that help anybody in the community that needs assistance, whether it be, pet deposit, food, rehoming animals, just whatever it may be that the community needs help with. And so we come across a lot of people who need to rehome animals, or that they find strays and need help with them, or especially right now, kittens are everywhere. So the first thing that we ask is if they're able to keep them in their home at all, and we can assist them with the vet care and supplies needed to care for them, and then, get them vetted and then adopted out through our organization. And we get a lot of foster homes that way. And people, I think, enjoy being involved in the process too. And then we get more fosters, so it works out. And all they need to do is fill out our foster application, do our orientation, and then they get a handbook. They bring those animals in so we can have our medical team, take a look at them, update any vaccines or whatever is needed. And then we send them with a bag full of supplies and send them, pair them up with a mentor and go from there.
And when we formerly did Finder Foster, what we were doing is every single person that brought a stray or unowned animal to the shelter, it was part of our shelter intake question that we asked. So we just asked by standard, would you like to foster this animal? And if they said yes, we would onboard them. At the time we were doing it, we didn't have the automated system that we have now. So it was not working very well for us. But now that we have volunteer impact and we're able to have that automated system, we will bring back Finder Foster and hopefully utilize those people to help us feed kittens and house dogs and all of those good things that we love our community members to do.
And Jackie and Allie, for both of those, for the community members helping out, are those animals, like, do they stay, and I guess it'd probably depend on the situation, right? If they either come into your adoption/foster program, or if they are still like technically like owned animals with the families, right? You do it by situation, or is there a blanket policy?
They are, for us, they're all taken into our facility. So if it's somebody who needs to rehome their animal, but they don't mind keeping them in their home in the meantime, they do relinquish the animal to us. They do sign paperwork that states the animal is our property now. So they can't just change their mind or, do whatever it may be, or not bring them in for a spay neuter appointment. And then if it strays, same thing. I mean, they sign whatever paperwork about relinquishing any ownership.
And Jackie, is it similar or different for San Diego?
So typically we are asking this question when people are bringing us strays. So they would be signing the animal into us as a stray, and the animal would be on our website for 4 to 5 days while we see if there's an owner, and the person can foster them during that time. And they would be expected to transfer care of that animal if an owner stepped forward. If an owner doesn't step forward, then they could continue to foster after that stray period. We would do the spay neuter surgery, and then most likely ask them to join our adoption ambassador program and keep that animal while they're available for adoption.
Love it. Do you have either of you, someone asks, what do you do if they don't bring the animal back to be spayed or neutered? Have you had that problem?
I
have not encountered that yet.
And I have encountered that. So that's one of the things we hope with the automated training system is that these people are more invested in our programs and are truly signed up, and we have the correct information for them, and they're going through our program more formally, because we did, before we had our automated system and we were trying this, we did have some people not bring the animals back. So there was a lot of follow-up with them if that was the case. So we paused on the program, and we're hoping having them have the agreement and the training will help mitigate those issues.
I will say at my last organization, we did have that happen. And at that organization, we had animal control. So we would typically send an officer out to leave a notice, and usually they got in touch right away after that. So
it's a little more serious, right? A little scary. And are there fees, owner surrender fees or foster fostering fees or anything like that involved in these type of programs?
Not with us, no.
Yeah, not for any foster related business. There are no fees involved.
Awesome. All right. So there's some more great questions about the using different languages and then foster mentor programs. But I want to give Allie and Jackie a little bit more time to talk, and then I'll make sure to go back to those questions when we open it up for Q&A. So thanks for letting us interrupt so much with all these great questions, but go ahead and keep going about with your presentation.
Well, one of the questions we were asked was about foster mentor programs. And when Allie and I met before this, and I'm going to let her take the lead on this one because ours is in the pilot phase, but Allie's is off the ground and running already.
It is. It's fairly new still, so there's some kinks to work out, but we essentially put out a foster like a Google Forms, and I sent it to all my fosters and to kind of see who might be interested in it and what it entailed. And whoever signed up, I kind of weeded through who I thought was a strong person for that area. And I think I have about 12 mentors right now. I'd love to have more, but we're doing pretty well. They have their own Trello board as well as their own handbook. They have a way for them to all communicate with each other and myself. And they basically I pair them up with however many mentees they are comfortable with. And I have mentors for neonates, for, behavior dogs, for adult cats, whatever it may be. And they are paired with a new mentee, and they just kind of guide them through the whole foster process. And I'm here for emergencies, but it frees up my time a lot and helps me out. And so if you don't have a mentor program, I would highly suggest starting one or kind of getting a feel for it.
And we are just launching ours. We're in the pilot phase. So we're identifying those great fosters that could be good mentors right now. So we are doing some one-on-one mentorship type things. So we're at the start of kitten season here in San Diego. We're actually getting a ton of neonates in, and we're counting on our experienced fosters to take those neonates initially. And right now what we're doing is once those experienced people get the kittens latching and stable, we're training new fosters to take over the kittens. And the current foster is doing the training with the new person, is there for the handoff. And then if both people are comfortable, they're exchanging information and kind of leaning on each other and using each other. And then if it works out for people that are being mentors, we will then expand and see if they're interested in gaining more mentees under them. So we're doing it with neonates. And we also have a unique situation where we had 2 heavily pregnant dogs come into care that were bonded. And we've had one foster that's taken multiple pregnant dogs before. And so we linked that person up with a mentor to the new foster. And she took in 2 pregnant dogs. And between the dogs, they have 14 puppies. And she's housing them for the entire foster assignment. They're 6 weeks old now. And so she has her mentor for that. And that has worked really, really well on this occasion. So we're in our early stages of having a mentor program, but we're hoping to grow that over the next year or so.
That's amazing to find one person to do that and then to train someone else to do it too. And lots of good questions coming in about foster mentor programs. Do you Either one of you, and I know, Jackie, your program's just getting started, but have you thought about how you're going to select your mentors? Are there any requirements? Like, you need to be in the program so long, you need to foster so many animals. And on the flip side of that is someone's asking that they have volunteers who want to be mentors, but the organization might feel like they might not be there yet and they might not be very successful mentors. So any ideas on how to help with those questions? So folks who may be willing to help, but might not, for whatever reason, be the best volunteer to help with foster mentoring.
So for us, we did request that they have already been in the foster program for at least a couple months and have had fosters with us. So I would, look back and make sure that they did follow all the proper protocols and steps necessary and communicated the way they're supposed to be as fosters. And I did have some people sign up that wanted to be foster mentors that I didn't feel were very strong. And I did preface my email with saying that not everybody would be selected, but if you're interested, I would do this quarterly or, and kind of switch it up. So they didn't feel like I didn't choose them right away for a specific reason, but I did start it with giving everybody a chance. So anybody who I felt wasn't very strong, and I would pair them up with an easy foster and kind of go from there with an easy mentee.
And for all of our volunteer roles that we have, we call it a step up. So most of our volunteer roles start at this core foundation level where they're learning something basic, and then they can step up into an opportunity. So we do that with lots of our on-site programs, and we've started to mirror that in some of our foster programs. So behavior animal fostering on some of our dogs that are not available for adoption, that's a step up. So we require one successful foster assignment prior to taking and handling a trickier behavior dog. So it would be a similar process when we design our mentor program. That would be a step up role. And we would try and find people that are a good fit, and we'd make sure that they're people as well, not just animal people, because there's a lot of human interaction as well. We do have kitten nursery mentors that teach all of our nursery volunteers. That's a step up role. And those people were hand selected because they were doing great things. So I would work on identifying your great people and offering it to them as a step up opportunity and acknowledging that they're doing great and we love to see them grow, and almost make it a recognition to have them step up into that role is my goal for as we're growing the program.
I love that idea of you've done X really well. Now let's see if we can take you to the next level. That's great. And I think sometimes too, just being really honest with folks and be like, oh, so you want to be a foster mentor. Can you tell me a little bit about why? And sometimes in those conversations, they might have an unclear understanding of what the role involves, or you might somehow turn the conversation around to have them say, oh, I really don't want to do this because I love working with the baby kittens, but I don't necessarily want to teach people to do it, right? Like I love the kittens, but I might not necessarily want the people aspect of it. So I think sometimes just being really honest with your volunteers about why they want that role can be helpful too.
Definitely. I definitely had some people back out once they learned what is entailed, or, oh, I might have to go and troubleshoot in person. Okay, I don't want to do that, or,
Definitely. And do you require the mentoring for new fosters, or is it optional? Like, are the new incoming foster volunteers placed with a foster mentor?
Yeah, they don't really get an option. I do it, and whether they need help or not, I kind of keep up with the mentors on how well that person is doing, and then maybe the next time they won't need assistance, but I always do it in the beginning just so somebody is there for them.
And maybe if they change who they're fostering, then they could, if they're fostering big dogs and then they go to kittens, they get a foster mentor for that type of thing.
Right.
And I'm sorry, Jackie, go ahead.
Since we're in the pilot phase, we don't require it. We just require that online training, and the foster team is currently that support to do the check-ins and things like that right now. So we're hopefully going to get them some support from volunteers to take that off their plate.
Very cool. Oh, my lights just went off. Haven't been moving enough. So while I go turn those back on, what else did you have for us, Jackie?
So one of the other questions we were asked is, do we provide any transportations of animals, people, and supplies to foster volunteers that need support? So we do have a classroom foster program where we send small pets to teachers' classrooms, and the teachers can foster them. The teacher is responsible for taking them home on the weekends, and it's essentially the modern day class pet, but with fostering animals, which is really cool. So for those teachers, we do provide all the supplies and transport of the animals through our community engagement team. So as a perk of that particular program, we do deliver the animals and the supplies, which is really the only program from fostering that we currently do that for. What we have, since we are in San Diego, we have about 30 to 40 mile drive between all of our San Diego Humane Society campuses. So it is a trek to go between buildings. So we do have a volunteer transport group. So if we internally want to request movement of supplies or animals, we can send out a request, and that goes blast to a few hundred volunteers, and they can pick up that shift and transport the animal or the supplies for us. As long as they have a point person at either end, it usually works out really well. So we're, if we needed to, we could utilize that system for our fosters if any foster was in need. But right now, our fosters have been pretty self-sufficient, and we haven't had to utilize that for them. But through that volunteer blast, we have this year transported a safety net dog that was being reunified with their owner from San Diego to Chicago. We had a volunteer sign up to do the drive all the way to Chicago. And we've had volunteers sign up to do transports of animals from San Diego to Arizona. So if you don't ask, you never know. So we lean on our volunteers for a lot of things like that.
And same for us, our volunteers are always, if we do a transport, if anybody needs anything, we don't currently have a vet at our facility, so we do a lot of outreach with our vets in the area, and our volunteers and fosters always help transport animals to those. We have a foster closet within our facility, and that is where we keep, everything that a foster could need, and they have access to that closet as long as it's during business hours. They can come in at any time and grab anything they need, and then that's another opportunity for a mentor to step in and help if their mentee needs any supplies. They can come in and help grab whatever it is they need and transport it as well.
And our last area that we were asked about is, do we use foster volunteers to serve as adoption ambassadors? And we both said yes to that. So I'll let Allie go first and share hers. And then we also have an adoption ambassador program too.
Yeah, so we use Shelter Love, and when you finalize an adoption, everything is via text message. I haven't had anybody not able to do that so far since we've been using Shelter Love. So the foster is the one who reaches out to the applicants. They set up the meet and greet. They do everything. They ask the questions they should be asking. And then they pretty much just let me know when the people are ready. If they want to take home the animal that day, they have every right to do that. And I just send a text over to the applicant and they finalize that way. And that's pretty much it. That's the only step I really have in it. I trust them to be able to do it. I'm there and the mentor's there if they need assistance, though, of course.
And for our adoption ambassador program, we piloted it about a year ago, and we did some tweaks to it, and we relaunched in mid-March of this year. So we're just relaunched very recently. So our fosters are welcome to take any animal that's available for adoption or become an ambassador for a different animal that's in their care. If they have a distemper dog that's recovered, they can continue to foster that dog while it's available for adoption. And we recommend they make a unique email address to fostering, and that email address goes on the public website when the animal is promoted for adoption. The foster will field the initial inquiries that come in. We do have our adoption counselors involved at this point. So we do over the phone adoption counseling, and we accept payment as well over the phone through AutoPets. It's the platform that we're using to accept payment. And then once we have all of that information, we jump back over to the foster to coordinate pickup with the adopter, and that all happens off-site. So the animal never has to return to the shelter once they're in that home, and the foster will hand them over. So the relaunch has been working really well. We had a little dog named Donald who was initially at our behavior center, and then he went to a behavior foster. He was under behavior modification due to shy, fearful behavior, and in foster he did great. We released him for adoption, and his foster did the adoption ambassador program with him, and within a week he had a new family lined up. And after he left the behavior center, he never had to return on site. He showcased really, really well from foster care, more than he would have done from the shelter. And the foster handed him off 2 days ago and is already lined up to take their next behavior case on because it went so well. So we're really excited about the relaunch of the Adoption Ambassador Program, and it supports our adoption floor and kennel space immensely.
That's awesome. Thank you both for sharing. So we got through every one of your questions that you had prepared, right? All of your points.
Yeah.
Yay! Okay, you guys are rock stars. So we had some great questions come in that I overlooked earlier in the chat. So I'd love to go back and talk about those and then kind of work my way forward. If your question gets missed, definitely put it on the Maddie's Pet Forum so we can go over it and discuss it further there. One of the things that Allie and Jackie said at the beginning of the call that I thought was really cool is they're both on totally different sides of the country, right? Like on opposite coasts, but they're doing a lot of the same things. They're overcoming a lot of the same challenges. They're having a lot of the same successes. So I really encourage everyone to get involved with Maddie's Pet Forum so you can talk to people in Florida or in San Diego that you never would have met in real life and help work through these problems together and share resources. So without further ado, let's go back to Jackie. You had that really great program with the Google Translate that you were showing us and using Afrikaans as an example of a language that you could potentially translate to. So once you've got all those materials translated, do you have a plan to support those fosters who speak other languages? Do you have other volunteers or staff or a way that you were thinking of communicating them once they have, those questions about, well, when do I bring this dog back? Or, just those like little day-to-day things.
So we do have, our employee engagement team, also known as our HR team, they put out information from time to time, and they request if there are people that are bilingual and they're willing to share that with everyone, if they can share that with our HR team. We have an internal kind of intranet where everyone has a profile, and you can post if you're bilingual, and we can utilize skill sets of people on different teams if we need that kind of support. Like I said, in San Diego, we're primarily would be utilizing Spanish, and the foster team itself has multiple Spanish speakers. So we are able to support Spanish speakers at this time. And then for other languages, we would, right now we just have the translate set up. We would have to look at our staff database to see if anyone had those in-person kind of speaking skills as well.
And I think once you get those Spanish-speaking volunteers on board, then they can become the foster mentors and the adoption ambassadors and help the clients and the other foster parents with their languages too. And Allie, I know you were just starting your program or just thinking about starting that program. Did you have any ideas too about how to support folks who speak other languages?
I don't. This is something I have on my to-do list though.
It sounds like Jackie's got some great ideas for you, so definitely keep that contact. So this one's changing it up a little bit, and I know, so Jackie in San Diego, Allie, I'm not really familiar with the geographic makeup and the demographics of Pensacola, so we may or may not be able to answer this question on this call. So any suggestions for equitable inclusion in rural communities? Marissa is located in Vermont, and they don't have a lot of diversity in culture or language, but their population is extremely rural, which provides many difficulties. So Jackie, I don't know, you're pretty urban and suburban, right, in your area. And Allie, what's the demographic makeup of Pensacola?
It's pretty city-like and busy. Yeah. The last shelter I was at, though, we did have a sister facility that was in a very rural area, and it was really difficult to find adopters and fosters and volunteers out there. And we mostly were just reaching out to people to help us after we helped them. Essentially, a lot of those folks needed help with spaying and neutering stray animals. So we kind of use that, we'll help you if you can help us kind of thing, but I don't have a lot of guidance there.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you like thinking about that one and using your previous shelter experience. Marissa, I definitely encourage you to get on the pet forum. I know I keep saying that, but there are other rural shelters in there that are doing amazing things. We talk to folks all over the country, and I always hear, "Well, this would never work in Georgia." And then I talk to someone in Georgia who's doing it, and I'm like, "Wait, we need to connect you two to like figure this out." So definitely join the forum. See if there's anyone on who has similar transportation, maybe internet issues, infrastructure issues, whatever those issues are that are affecting your rural community. And thank you, Marissa, for posting that question and joining us. Okay. Oh, Jackie, just a real quick one. The program you were using earlier, that was called Mind Touch, right? MINE Touch?
Mind, MIND.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you. That question came up. And let me just scroll through these in the next few minutes. Oh, do the owner surrender fosters? I thought this was a really good question. The owner surrender fosters have any input in the adoption of the pet they surrender?
If they are going to foster it, do our foster to home program, which is our long-term foster program, they do get the option to be adoption ambassadors and get a very large say in the adoption and who they go home with. We are barrier free, so we're not going to deny people for certain things, but yeah, they get a big play in it.
And we are trying to divert as many animals from the shelter as possible. So we are using home to home and encouraging everyone to utilize that platform. And if a big perk of that, if owners are using home to home, is they do get that say in where their animal goes. So we have home to home animals listed on our website. If the community is coming to us to adopt, they can also utilize home to home and see what animals are currently owned that are looking for new homes as well.
Great, thank you. I think this question's really great. So this is kind of a difficult one. So, might as well make it a little hard, save the hardest for the last because then we're done. So this one is from Tristan. And Tristan asks, have you found any breakdowns in communications between fosters and potential adopters through the Adoption Ambassador program? Any hurdles you overcame there or tips to deal with these problems as they come? So whether it's the potential adopters reaching out to the foster and not hearing back, or maybe the adopter says one thing and the foster takes it in a different way and feels that this person would not be a good adopter. Anything like that you're working on or you've had to deal with?
I will say that when a foster is going to be an adoption ambassador, they are aware that they have to reach out to the applicant within 24 hours, because after that point we lose a lot of the interest from the applicants. So that helps with not losing that connection. And then we do have fosters occasionally that want that picture perfect white picket fence home for their foster. So we just kind of take it as it comes and have that conversation with them on why we can't discriminate for certain things and how we are barrier free. And let them know that they can have whatever conversation they need to have to feel confident and comfortable. If the foster is just really against an adoption, then we will do a second meet with staff involved at the shelter location. And it doesn't happen very often, but it has come up occasionally.
And for us, we had some challenges when we initially launched, and then we revamped our training prior to launching again in March. So those are two of the challenges we were experiencing first time around. So what we did, we have a template that we encourage volunteers, fosters to have autoresponders on their email account that is up there, and we have a statement that covers it. If you do not hear back from us within 24 hours, it means the animal has been placed, because the fosters were really struggling fielding all of the inquiries. Sometimes for puppies and kittens, they were getting like 50 plus emails and they were just overwhelmed. So we guided them to set up that auto response, and we kind of gave them a ticket out of doing all the responses. So as long as they have that set up, they don't have to reply to everyone. That kind of covers our base there. And then we just have a link to our website to say, keep looking on our website for, more adoptable animals. And then the other challenge we had was the foster attachment to their animal, and again, trying to find that perfect home. So we had to update our training materials and make sure that our adoption philosophy was front and center. And we say, like, this is our philosophy. To be an adoption ambassador, you would have to be on board with this philosophy, and understand that maybe not everyone is going to be judgment free, and they might not be a great fit for the program. So we just have that front and center, and so people can opt in to be an adoption ambassador and try and to not be judgmental and get that animal home.
Awesome. I so appreciate that. Well, we have like 3 minutes left. Allie, Jackie, thank you so much for joining us today. And again, I'm so sorry if we didn't get to any of your questions. There were great questions. I always get so worried on these huddles that we're going to have dead air and I'm going to have to ad lib and get a lot of stuff in. And I never do, because we all have such great presenters and such great questions that we keep asking. Any final thoughts that you want to share, Allie and Jackie, about keeping your processes open and inclusive?
I just want to say that when I first started in this field, I was very against open adoptions, and I've completely come around to the other side since then. It's you see more good than bad. And I know when you see the bad, that's what sticks in your head, but people are not as bad as what you think they might be.
As that one bad experience or those
Yeah.
3 bad experiences in 10 years. Definitely. Right. I love that.
And for me, our foster program is ever evolving. We welcome people of all different backgrounds. And for the foster team that we have, we did a little exercise where we all talked about our favorite animal that's ever entered the shelter, and a common theme that ran through our favorite animals, where they all had issues. They all had medical issues, behavior issues. They were in our care for a really long time. They struggled. And we used that exercise to kind of convert over to people and say, okay, so if we invest all of the energies that we invested into these animals, into our fosters, and if we have a difficult foster, invest in them, put the time in, they might become your favorite foster. They might be that person for you that's going to take the hardest cases. So I think that really opened the foster team's eyes and encouraged them to work with people of all backgrounds and even the most challenging people. And yeah, treat our people like we treat our animals, invest highly in them, and you'll create great fosters.
I love that idea of thinking about those, more difficult, right, animals that we see and how much we loved them and translating that onto people. And Allie, I love that you admitted that you weren't pro open adoption in the beginning and you've come around. So these are great notes to end on. Thank you again, Jackie Nobile and Alysia Martinez. We so appreciate you taking the time with us today. And thank you everyone else for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next Wednesday at 11 p.m. I'm so sorry, 11 a.m. I'm going to be way in bed by 11 p.m. To talk more about the foster programs. Thanks so much, everyone. Please join us on Maddie's platform to continue the conversation.